Hey, hi, hello, how are ya? My name is Robert Walton. I am the host of the Metal Meltdown, and I'm here to tell you all about the Metal Meltdown's very first and very special Valentine's Day party happening February 13th at approximately 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna drink, shoot the shit, drink, play video games, drink, spread love and positive vibes. Also, drink. I'm not entirely sure what games we're gonna play during this live stream. I originally thought about doing like some Gears of War or like Dead Space and calling it the Valentine's Day Massacre or something like that. But I don't know. Then I was kind of in the mood for some Super Castlevania 4. And then I kind of figured, well, there are also a lot of people who have been requesting Dream Daddy for a long time, basically ever since we did Dream Daddy back in June of 2021. So I figured I'd leave it up to you. There is a poll on the community tab of this channel. Feel free to vote as to whether or not you want to see Dream Daddy again featured on this channel. If you don't want that, feel free to recommend some other games that you might want to see. Hell yes. Most importantly, irregardless of what games we play, I hope to see you there, because it's not a party without you, and it's not a Valentine's Day party without you. I can't spread love and positive vibes without you by my side, so be there. February 13th, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, cool, great, see ya. I'm going inside. It's really cold out here. Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today, by very popular demand, and also in preparation for the upcoming Remember You Will Die, we are reviewing every single studio album from American deathcore pioneers and icons, Suicide Silence. As per the norm, I am not interested in EPs, demos, live albums, or compilations. I am looking at all 6 of Suicide Silence's currently available studio albums, from The Cleansing all the way to Become the Hunter. If you are hoping to hear my thoughts on Remember You Will Die today, I apologize, but you're just going to have to wait until the album actually comes out. I will also be talking about each album in order of release, assigning each a score out of 5, 5 obviously being the best, 0 obviously being the worst. First up, we have The Cleansing, released September 18th, 2007 via Century Media Records. This would be Suicide Silence's debut studio album. Obviously, duh, and honestly, this thing holds up better than it probably has the right to. Like, I was never really big into Suicide Silence when they were getting really popular, but looking back on this album now, goddamn, this is tight. Goddamn, this is brutal. Goddamn, this goes hard. There aren't necessarily a lot of bells and whistles and extra pungent spices and garnishes to be found anywhere across this thing. It's just mean, lean, clean, simple as fuck, filled with beefy fucking riffs and a whole lot of attitude. Lots of standout tracks on here, like Hands of a Killer, which is filled with some really murky, groovy, almost kind of Slipknot-style riffs, but like filtered through like death metal and deathcore. The Price of Beauty, which pummels and pounds with the urgency and the severity, honestly more so of brutal death metal than perhaps what we would nowadays call deathcore. No Pity for a Coward, which kind of finds a sweet spot in between the unique sonic assaults of like Cannibal Corpse and Despised Icon, with breakdowns, vicious vocals, some more pummeling riffery. Eyes Sewn Shut is probably a favorite of mine. I love those really slow, lurching, menacing grooves and drawls. A lot of classic hardcore beatdown energy there. The album is laser focused with very little fat or filler to speak of whatsoever. Mitch Looker killing it on vocals, duh. I mean, to this day, probably one of deathcore's best vocalists still. Honestly, I'm feeling a 4 out of 5. I saw this on vinyl at Cops Records maybe about a month ago. If it's still there next time I walk in, I might pick it up. This thing has aged a lot better than I expected it would have. Next up, we have No Time to Bleed, released June 30th, 2009 via Century Media Records. Basically a continuation of The Cleansing. Not that that's really an issue or a problem for me. I would say I prefer the production, like the mixing and mastering of The Cleansing, over, I would say, the more refined and polished soundscapes of No Time to Bleed. Not that it compromises any of its heaviness, per se, but, you know, side by side, I do think that there is a bit of a difference. This is also, I think, in some ways lyrically a more personal record for Suicide Silence. This is something Mitch Looker has talked about in the past as well. But aside from that, this album mostly continues and in some cases builds upon the formulas and successes of The Cleansing. More beefy, bulky, meaty, muscular riffs and breakdowns and beatdowns, menacing, varied vocal assaults, some gnarly percussion. You've got tracks like Disengage, which pairs slightly disorienting grooves and rhythms and guitar licks with some really acidic vocals. Then there's Smoke, which is filled with crippling, hyper-technical grooves and barrages of battering percussion. I would argue on par with some of the heaviest material from like a band like Lamb of God or Fear Factory or Meshuggah. I mean, it just consistently pounds and pounds and pummels away. Tracks like No Time to Bleed and Your Creations ratchet up the death metal riffery, which I really like as well. I also really like And Then She Bled, too, which goes as far as to recreate a pretty graphic 911 call with a lot of weird soundscapes and atmospheric morsels. It kind of feels like something that Slipknot might have put together for like Volume 3, or even something that could have been pulled from a more recent project like We Are Not Your Kind or The End So Far. I would probably pick The Cleansing over this, but I would honestly still give this also a 4 out of 5. Another great record. Another kick-ass collection of tight, brutal jams and ragers and bangers. Next up, we have The Black Crown, released July 11th, 2011, once again via Century Media Records. This would unfortunately be the band's final album with Mitch Looker on lead vocals, as he passed away in a tragic motorcycle accident in November of 2012. Thankfully, he went out on a very high note with The Black Crown. Probably Suicide Silence's most ambitious album to date, at least as far as this chapter in their career is concerned. More personal lyrics, actually quite introspective and reflective and deeply personal for Mitch Looker especially. This album also sees Suicide Silence beginning to experiment more so with nu metal and groove metal, elements that to a certain extent have been a part of Suicide Silence's sound already, but now, you know, these flavors, these spices are much more prominent in the forefront of the sound, much more visible. A lot of guest stars on this record, too. I mean, you've got Frank Mullen from Suffocation on one track. You've got Jonathan Davis from Korn on one track. It really does show, like, just how big this album is, and it also does show, like, how big Suicide Silence's reach was at that time. Like, they could get, like, a mainstream metal rock singer like Jonathan Davis on their album, but they could also get, like, a bona fide death metal titan like Frank Mullen. And for the most part, as far as I can tell looking back, not too many people questioned it. Not too many people bitched and or moaned. Now, as much as I appreciate all of this, I have to be honest, this is probably my least favorite album from the Mitch Looker era of Suicide Silence. I do think that there are still some banging tunes and jams here and there, don't get me wrong. The collaborations with Jonathan Davis and Frank Mullen, Witness the Addiction and Smashed respectively, are big highlights for me on this album. The former of which is filled with angst and dread and misery. It honestly does feel like a classic Korn number that just kind of got stapled to a deathcore banger. The latter of which just goes so goddamn fucking hard. I mean, do I even need to explain it? It's Frank Mullen from Suffocation with Suicide Silence in their prime. I don't think I need to explain why this is as brutal as it is. There's also You Only Live Once, without question Suicide Silence's most iconic number. It's also probably one of the more straightforward kind of meat and potato tracks on this record, but hey, credit where it's due. It is kind of fun. It does have a little addictive earworm of a chorus for sure. It really digs itself in there. There's also some more brutal shit like fucking Cancerous Skies and Human Violence. All cool shit. Mitch's vocals all over the place too. Like black metal screams and howls with like deep low end gutturals. You know, probably one of his most versatile performances vocally. That being said, the production is a little too refined and polished for its own good. It ends up sounding just kind of flat. It ends up just kind of sounding squashed. I also don't feel as if the nu metal meshes consistently well with the deathcore. I mean, this is even an issue on Witness the Addiction. I enjoyed that track, but I mean, I don't think it's difficult to see that, you know, the deathcore part and the nu metal part, you know, it's not the most seamless transition between the two. Still feeling a solid 3.5 out of 5, though. Warts and all, it's a damn good record. You know, could it have been better? Could it have been tighter, more cohesive? Sure, but, you know, Suicide Silence took a risk, and I think for the most part it paid off, and they delivered plenty of gnarly tunes, and that's ultimately what actually really matters at the end of the day, so fuck it. Next up, we have You Can't Stop Me Now, released July 14th, 2014, this time via Nuclear Blast Records. This is the band's first album with Eddie Hermida on lead vocals, best known previously for his work with All Shall Perish, and it's fine. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have any, like, major issues per se with this thing, but something just doesn't feel right. It's functionally similar to what we've already heard from Suicide Silence, albeit, you know, stripped of some of the nu metal and groove metal stuff from The Black Crown, and yet I'm just not vibing with it. Like, the songs just aren't as punchy or as brutal or as fun. And I don't really get the vibe that Suicide Silence are as into this as they were into The Cleansing and No Time to Bleed and The Black Crown. That's not to say that the album is, like, really terrible, because there are some moments and some songs to enjoy. For instance, Control, featuring Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse. Monster Within, featuring Greg Picciotto from the Dillinger Escape Plan, is also another fun, crazed rager. It's kind of cool to see Greg doing something a little outside his comfort zone, you know, doing like deathcore as opposed to like mathcore and like avant-garde metal. The title track, You Can't Stop Me, is solid. I also like Cease to Exist, and the re-recorded version of Ending of the Beginning is, well, not great, but a nice touch. You know, it's a nice little Easter egg, I guess, for the hardcore fans to enjoy. But I'm just not vibing with it, and I feel ultimately maybe the reason is because of Eddie. I understand he's been put in a very difficult position here. I understand Suicide Silence is recovering from one hell of a tragedy. I get that. I understand that. But I don't feel at that moment in time that he's the right choice to replace Mitch Looker. He's just not showing the same kind of range and power that I'm used to seeing from Suicide Silence, from Mitch Looker. You know, he's just not, he's putting his all into it. I don't think he's phoning it in, but he's just not as good of a vocalist. And it shows pretty consistently, as there aren't really a ton of amazing vocal performances on his part. Like, sometimes the best part of an earlier Suicide Silence is just Mitch, his lyricism, his vocals. I don't really remember a lot of what Eddie does on this album because none of it is especially interesting. So much so that Corpse Grinder and Greg Picciotto showing up on this album actually hurts Suicide Silence in a weird way. I mean, I dig those songs, but it really just shows how little, like, uniqueness there is in Eddie's voice. I don't know, 2.5 out of 5, I guess. It's okay. It's not, like, terrible. It's not, like, offensive or anything like that. There are some songs I would recommend you check out, but, you know, I wouldn't rush to pick this up on vinyl or CD or anything like that, you know? I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to this again or even the songs I mentioned again. It's just okay, you know, like it's fine. I'm not gonna be too mean on this album. Suicide Silence were in a bit of a rough spot. They did the best they could, but yeah, this ain't doing it for me. Nice try, like solid A for effort, you know, like it could have been a hell of a lot worse. And speaking of a hell of a lot worse, oh boy, this brings us to Suicide Silence's self-titled album, released February 17th, 2017, once again via Nuclear Blast Records. Yeah. Not sure where to begin with this one. So for those of you who don't know, this is the album where Suicide Silence goes almost full-blown nu metal. Like, the Deftones and Korn worship is on display all over the goddamn place here. Whereas on previous records and with previous songs, they were just kind of experimenting and flirting. Here they have absolutely made their move. They're running for first, second, and third base and hoping for a home goddamn run. Hope being the key word here, because as far as fans are concerned, this was a motherfucking strike. Like, out of the game, get fucked, you lose. I have attempted unsuccessfully over the years to defend this album, and for the record, I still am not convinced that this is a colossal shit pile of saint anger or illidivinem insanus proportions, as some have suggested, as some have implied or outright said over the years. But I will concede upon re-listening to this, it's not great. It's in fact really not great. Arguably kind of bad. It's just kind of sloppy and unorganized. Like, it kind of sounds and feels like what a bunch of preteens would have put together after listening to, like, Korn and Deftones for the first time. I will give Eddie some credit where it's due. He definitely has a little bit more personality and uniqueness in his vocals this time around. They're not better, but they're his, I guess. I mean, his gutturals are pretty solid, but I mean, a lot of his clean vocals, I mean, he just sounds like really anxious and unsure of himself. Like, it's a really poor imitation of what, like, Chino Moreno was doing on those early Deftones records. Like, I mean, his like, tee-hee vocals in Doris especially, I mean, it's a fucking meme at this point. And understandably so, because it's so silly, and it pulls you right out of the moment. Some of the more brutal death metal, deathcore-ish elements that can be found on this record are without question the best, like Hold Me Up, Hold Me Down, and its slow, lurching, menacing grooves, and its like full-on, like, deep, low-end gutturals, which actually pairs nicely with some of the like nu metal soundscapes and atmospheres established earlier in the song. I kind of like Don't Be Careful, You Might Hurt Yourself. I kind of like its tongue-in-cheek, bitter lyricism and the heavier grooves and rhythms here. Yeah, that's the best I got as far as defending this record is concerned. I'm feeling a 2 out of 5, leaning towards a 1.5 out of 5. Like, if it weren't for those little bits and pieces and nuggets that I did enjoy, this probably would be a 1.5 out of 5. And finally, this brings us to Become the Hunter, released on Valentine's Day. Hey, look at that! February 14th, 2020, once again via Nuclear Blast Records, following the overwhelmingly negative reaction to the self-titled album. Suicide Silence have returned to deathcore, albeit with a few twists and turns. It feels like the more logical evolution of You Can't Stop Me, you know, as opposed to the self-titled album. I can't help but question Suicide Silence's integrity on some level, because they went out of their way to defend the self-titled record. They made it clear they were super ride or die for that style, and they weren't going to cave into the demands of fans, and now here they are caving into the demands of fans. But fuck it, that's an argument that we can have, a discussion that we can have another time, perhaps on another video. For now, let's just focus on the tunes, which, you know, objectively way better than what we got on the self-titled album, and honestly way better than what we got on You Can't Stop Me. This feels like what we should have gotten after The Black Crown. We have a much more muscular sound, which I like. We have darker lyricism, darker vibes and tones and influences and such, which I also really like. Eddie finally sounds like he belongs in Suicide Silence. Like, there's a lot more range and versatility to his vocals, and he just sounds like he's way more into it. He sounds like he actually fits in, which I also like. It's just focused, and it's brutal, and as such, it kicks a solid amount of ass, you know? I like Love Me to Death, I like Two Steps, I like the eerie opening instrumental Meltdown. I really like the Scythe and its winding guitar harmonies, contrasted with its absolutely punishing, like, blast beats and breakdowns. The use of guitar solos across the record is really cool, too, because it's really tasteful. Like, they don't throw a guitar solo in with every single song. They only use it when it's necessary, and it's consistently really emotive and adds a little bit of extra depth. Just a much stronger record in every way. For some reason, I wasn't digging this when it initially came out. I don't even really remember why. I don't know. I was younger. I was dumber. That's why. Fuck it. Nowadays, I would score this a solid 3.5 out of 5. And I would say that if you were confused and alienated by You Can't Stop Me, and especially the self-titled album, you'll dig this. You'll love this. You'll enjoy this. I certainly hope and think you will, at least. And voila! Reviewing every Suicide Silence album. Now it's your turn to tell me, what's your favorite album from Suicide Silence? What's your least favorite album from Suicide Silence? I mean, it's probably the self-titled record, but I don't know. Maybe it's The Black Crown. Maybe it's Become the Hunter. Surprise me. Freak me the fuck out. Go for it. Why not? Let me know what other bands you would like to talk about in this format in the future. Check out these videos. Press this button to subscribe, and as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.